Well, welcome back, guys. Automotive Inquiries here. Um, well, a lot of people have reached out and said, man, can't believe you bought this truck. How horrible this motor is. It's a complete piece of crap. And geez Louise. And there's so much information out there, and it's cams and it's lifters and valves and bears. Oh my, oh my. And you know, here we are. I am 2,042 miles into my ownership of the Godzilla. And, well, it's causing me problems. And I hyped it up saying don't skip this motor, and I'm going to stand by that 100%. But, this motor that I got in my 22, there is research out there that says that this vehicle has lifters and cam issues and everything like that. And that is true. This motor came out in 2020, guys. So it probably actually came out really towards the end of 2019. It came out in E450 vans. It came out in motorhome chassis. It came out in F650 chassis. It came out in a lot of different things, including the Super Duty pickups for the consumer market. Three big concerns did come out. They got a bad run of cams and lifters that were delamming, meaning the polished side of that piece was coming off and flaking off. Eventually that's bad because those smooth parts are meant to be where the lobes kind of run against and do that smoothly. Well, if you lose that actual performance of the smoothness of it and the polishness of it, then it starts to grind on bare metal. Then you have some issues. And that did come out. There was also a wire harness issue which was causing a misfire, but that was found pretty quickly. Yeah, Ford's having to go in and deal with the cam lifter issue, and then the last issue was miles per gallon. And if anybody's going out and looking at a heavy duty truck expecting to get Prius type gas mileage or even half-ton gas mileage, I would ask you to really sit back and think, well, then do you really need to get one of these big trucks? Because that's not what these big guys are made for. These guys are made for pulling and working. Now, I've said this over and over again because there's a lot of people also that wanted to say, well, the diesel's just 10 times better, it has more power. You are right when it comes to more power, and it does get a little better fuel economy, and it does sound cool, and it probably will have better resale value because you paid 10 grand more. You should get somewhere between, say, $6,000 and $10,000 more for it. However, this was also an option, this motor, so you are going to pay a little bit more for it and you'll get a little bit more, but you're not going to get the same value, yes, out of it. But trucks are king here in Colorado, and Ford is the best selling truck in America, so I'm not too worried about resale in the event I need to do that. Now let's fast forward to 2022 2023. My Ford insiders have told me it's about 1 in 500 of these motors has that delamination, chafing of the cams and the lifter issue. 1 in 500. I don't know about you, but that's not great odds. And most of the people that have had issues are having those issues between 32,000 and 60,000. Okay, well, your powertrain warranty is up to 60,000 miles in 5 years. So as long as you can verify your maintenance, you won't have to pay for that motor. Now, if you have delamming issue where that polished material is flaking off, you can pull out this thing that's called a dipstick and look at your oil. If you see glitter in here, okay, that is a warning sign. You need to get over to Ford and have them take a look at it. Now, people say, well, Ford has this issue and blah, 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 and Chevy's this much better. Okay, well, Chevy had the same issue a few years ago with their awesome 5.3 and 6.2 motors that have been around for quite a while. They got some bad cams and bad pieces of the integral parts of the motor, and they were having engine failure. Around 4% of the motors GM's produced over each year had issues like that. 4%? 4% isn't not a lot. That probably breaks down to 1 in about 300-400. Okay, same thing with Ram. They've all had their issues, so it's just a matter of what's your comfort level and who you like the best. But that doesn't mean you buy this motor, you're going to have any issues, okay? If you watch your maintenance, if you do your maintenance, if you go to the oil shop and have them change your oil, well, then ask them to show you a blotch of their oil. They used to do that at Grease Monkey or wherever. They would actually, bring you out a dot of it on one of the little forms and show you what it looked like, okay? So this is something you as an owner can actually recognize yourself, okay, and see, and you can stop it before it becomes an issue. And if you have to, yeah, it'll suck to have your motor replaced, but you'll have a new motor, right? I mean, isn't that what people say? Well, I can run my diesel 500,000 miles and I can rebuild it. Okay, well, whatever. Say you got to get a new motor, but 1 in 500 is your chances of getting one of these motors, okay? Now, all of those motors have been covered by Ford, and that was a early run of 20 and 21 motors, okay? Now that doesn't mean that a 21 motor wasn't sitting on the shelf somewhere and somehow got slipped into a truck. I don't even know. And people are having these issues in 22. However, I've had a lot of people reach out and say that their 22s have been flawless, and several of them have well over 100 and some odd thousand miles. Now, we had the same naysayers when I had the 6.4, the 6.0. Oh my gosh, the first generation of the Duramax and the injectors, and oh my goodness, I wouldn't buy a Cummins because they just fall apart and they do this and they catch on fire. Listen, yes, there's all those issues. You are not going to buy a vehicle anytime, whether it be from Henry Ford exactly 100 years ago or now. You're not going to buy a vehicle without having issues, okay? So Ford does have a quick catch on that. They don't even have like a service bulletin out on it because this is such a small oddity that this would happen to you, okay? If this was such a huge issue, Ford would have stopped sale on all 7.3s. They wouldn't have outmoded the 6.2, and they would have ran with the 6.2 quite a bit longer, and just ran it out that way, because that motor's tried and true also. But there were also problems with that motor, so come on, so at the end of the day, I'm not worried about it. I don't think you should be worried about it. There's forums out there, there's guys showing you, yes, there's everybody's cars are failing, period, and that is because not all of these engine components are made by Ford. They're outsourced through other companies in other countries. If they have one little defect, that whole run's going to be caught and done like that. But Ford has worked on the issue. So I fired up my truck this morning at 3 o'clock in the morning and went to the gym. And I came back out of the gym, fired it back up, and I drove home, went to work, and guess what? Fired it up again, still trucking. So I know a lot of people are saying that it's a bad motor, but the only problem I've had with this motor is this silly sticker that I had drawn up, because I name all my vehicles the General 7.3 liter, because people aren't as knowledgeable about it. So people are like, what does that even mean? Does Ford make that? No, Ford didn't make that. I made that myself. Name all my vehicles, and they just get a name, but I had that decal printed up for me, so I was pretty proud of that. And that gets me more looks and more, hey, roll down your window, kind of checking it out, than I ever did with my Power Stroke, because everybody already knew what it was, and it was cool, and it was totally great. But this motor, lifters fine, cam's fine, everything's gonna be fine. I'll watch my oil, I'll check my own oil. If I see anything like that, yeah, then I'll get the motor replaced, and it'll be a pain in the ass. But for that week that happens, or 2 weeks, they can hook me up with a loaner. I'll put those miles on somebody else's vehicle. I will be doing some more videos soon. I'm gonna get my hitch put in. I got a puck system we're gonna get put in. I'm gonna make up a system to hoist the bed off. But this whole lifters and cam stuff, don't sweat it, guys. Don't sweat it, okay? Because you can go buy a Chevy and have the same issue. You can go buy a Dodge Ram and have the same issue. Matter of fact, they said they're having the whole dipstick thing issue with the Cummins. The same motor's been around for like a decade, and all they've been doing is tweaking it, is now catching on fire because of the dipstick. So, I mean, nobody's impervious to these issues. But I want to make a quick video about it, because literally I did that myth video, and I don't know if people just skipped it, but I have a Ford Insider. It's a 1 in 500 chance you're going to get one of these turkey sandwich motors, and but I mean, those are still pretty low odds, and because I mean, they've made hundreds and thousands of these motors already, and that's a very small percentage. So please do subscribe, guys. I'd love to hit 2,000 subscribers, and share with your friends and share with everybody that you can, and make sure you drive safe out there, and we'll see you on the next video.